So, NaLyssa Smith, NaLyssa Smith, NaLyssa Smith, it's just always the case. But like NaLyssa Smith never helps herself with some of the things that she says, did NaLyssa Smith just throw the Indiana Fever under the bus in a shocking turn of events the former Fever star couldn't resist, taking one last shot at her old team after being traded to Dallas. I forgot to mention NaLyssa Smith is gone. If you're the Fever, how great do you feel about that? My goodness, finally. But here's where it gets interesting. While Smith plays the victim and fired off a parting shot, that's raised eyebrows across the league. The Fever might have just pulled off the steal of the century. Sophie Cunningham is headed to Indy, and she's bringing a whole lot more than just her hot three-point range. Are you ready to dive into the drama and see why this trade could be a game changer for the Fever? Let's go. I got frustrated watching her play, and she represented, I think, the remnants of anything else that was wrong with the team right from the Christie Sides era, and everything. And last year was a good year, all things considered. Wish her the best, but I actually think the Fever get great return here, considering I don't know where all these people think NaLyssa Smith's value was so high all of a sudden given the way she played. Remember when NaLyssa Smith burst onto the scene as the second overall pick in the 2022 WNBA draft? The Indiana Fever thought they'd struck gold, landing a player who could transform their franchise, but sometimes even the brightest stars can fade fast in this league. Let's rewind to those early days. Smith showed flashes of brilliance, averaging a solid 13 points and 8 rebounds per game in her first 2 seasons. Fever fans were buzzing with excitement, thinking they'd found their cornerstone player to build around for years to come. But then came the 2024 season, and something just wasn't right with Smith. It's like she hit a wall and her game took a nosedive that left everyone scratching their heads. Picture this. Smith, once a defensive force, now looking lost on the court. Easy layups that used to be automatic clanking off the rim, and don't even get me started on those free throws. Many people in the fan base don't want her on the team by the end of the season. Then coach Christie Sides couldn't even trust Smith in crunch time. The player who was supposed to be the Fever's go-to option was riding the bench when the game was on the line. Talk about a fall from grace. Are you ready for some shocking stats? Smith's numbers tell a brutal story. Her scoring plummeted to just 106 points per game, while her rebounds dropped to a career-low 71 per game. But it wasn't just the raw numbers. Smith's efficiency fell off a cliff. She was missing shots at an alarming rate. And her defense, let's just say opposing players were licking their chops when they saw Smith guarding them. But that's not all. As Smith's on-court struggles mounted, so did the frustration from Fever fans. Social media was buzzing, and not in a good way. Smith found herself in the middle of some controversies that only added fuel to the fire. It's like everything that could go wrong for her did. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Fever's new direction with the arrival of Caitlin Clark and the emergence of Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull. Indiana was shifting towards a more dynamic, versatile style of play. Smith, with her declining skills and questionable fit, suddenly looked like a square peg in a round hole. Think about it. The Fever needed players who could shoot, defend multiple positions, and keep up with the fast pace of modern WNBA basketball. Smith, once seen as the future, now looked like a relic of the past. Her struggles to adapt were painfully obvious, and it became clear that a change was needed in just 3 short years. NaLyssa Smith went from potential franchise cornerstone to a player the Fever couldn't wait to move on from. So the Fever gave up on Smith, but why? It's all about the team's new winning formula, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. Picture this. New head coach Stephanie White steps in with a vision that's about to turn the Fever's world upside down. We're talking fast-paced, versatile offense that'll make your head spin. I think we have a common goal. I think our visions are aligned. I think the way we go about our work is aligned, and it's consistent, and you're going to have consistency, and you need consistency. Now here's where it gets interesting. Smith's slow-footed game and poor shooting, it stuck out like a sore thumb in this new plan. The Fever needed players who could run the floor, shoot threes, and switch on defense faster than you can say bucket. And Smith, well, she just couldn't keep up. But that's not all. The front office didn't just dip their toes in the water with this new strategy. They dove in head first. They went all in, targeting players who could dance to the same beat as Caitlin Clark. We're talking about a high-octane game that'll leave opponents gasping for air. Fit is the most important thing. You gotta have somebody that can run up and down the floor and catch those passes. Caitlin's gonna be throwing this new philosophy left no room for one-dimensional players like Smith. The Fever's new direction is all about versatility, teamwork, and adapting on the fly. Smith, she was still trying to play checkers while the rest of the team moved on to chess. Let's break it down. Last season we saw the first hints of this revolution. The Fever cranked up their three-point attempts by a whopping 15%. That's not just a little tweak. That's a full-blown transformation. They're not just keeping up with the trends, they're setting them. Now here's the million-dollar question. Can this new system turn a group of promising individuals into a cohesive winning team, or will it be another case of potential unfulfilled leaving us all wondering what could have been the Fever are betting big that this is the formula for success, and they're not looking back. They add the defense rebounding rim. Running with Howard. They add more shooting, and tough, I mean 2 tough players, feisty players, 1 player who's going to have Caitlin Clark's back, of course, in Cunningham. But wait, there's more. Enter Sophie Cunningham, the player who embodies everything the Fever wants. She's like the missing piece of the puzzle they've been searching for. Cunningham isn't just a player, she's a statement. A statement that says this is the new Indiana Fever, and we're here to win. Think about it. Cunningham can shoot, she can defend, and she's tough as nails. She's the kind of player who makes everyone around her better in this new Fever system. She's not just a good fit, she's the perfect fit. It's like the basketball gods heard the Fever's prayers and sent them exactly what they needed. In Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever are trading for a multi-dimensional wing capable of knocking down the 3-ball. Cunningham is starting to cook. Cunningham 3 is good. Cunningham from the corner, locking down defenders, several deflections, and this time she gets the steal and the N1 opportunity and injecting passion and emotion into the game and into her team. While Smith is packing her bags for Dallas, Cunningham is ready to light it up in Indiana. The contrast couldn't be clearer. One player couldn't adapt while the other is the poster child for versatility. So what did Smith really say? We'll get to that in a bit. Sophie Cunningham is headed to Indiana, and Fever fans should be over the moon. Let's talk about why this trade is a game changer for the team. Cunningham isn't just another player, she's exactly what the Fever have been searching for. We're talking about a sharpshooter who can light it up from beyond the arc, a defensive nightmare for opponents, and a player with the kind of toughness that can transform a team's entire culture on offense. Cunningham is a floor spacer and a deep shot maker. Each of her last 3 seasons, she's finished top 20 in the WNBA in threes made per minute on the floor among qualified players, and she will join a backcourt that features 2 of the top 5 3-point shot makers from a year ago, Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. Now you might be wondering, is Cunningham really that big of an upgrade over Smith? Well, let me paint you a picture. Thanks for watching.